Hi, it's Deb from Project Life Deb's Way. I'm doing a very quick intro to this video because it was one of my old videos when I used to use the wavy hands in the introduction. So I've updated it and just put the new video in the front. And it is done by Mintay papers, and it's a beautiful collection called Harmony, which has blues and apricots, and it does make a beautiful layout for you. So I'll be doing the tutorial on how I've done my cutting and my papering and that. And please don't forget to subscribe to my channel because you will get information on when I do new videos. So let's get on with the process. Hi everybody. I'm just giving you a quick view of the cupboard that I was lucky enough to get. But what I do, because I haven't got enough room on my desk, is I open up a drawer and have a piece of cardboard, which I then put my layouts as I'm actually doing my layouts. But just to show you, everybody says, oh gee, you make it look easy. I've already done one layout and I was just copying. But as you can tell, the desk that I use, the mess I have made doing the video. So yes, I do get myself into a big mess. Now I'll quickly show you the side by side finished layout pieces. I'll give you a proper a shot with the photographs in to show you what it really does look like finished. Hi everybody, it's Deb from Project Life Deb's Way again. This time I'm going to be doing a layout using the Mintay papers from the Harmony collection, and it has beautiful apricots and blues that you can use. Now, Mintay papers are very graphic orientated. They normally have your 3x4s. They also have a lot of printed sheets, and they also, on their front cover sheet, has a cut apart sheet which you can cut about. Most of the cut about was the florals I used, and I also cut all the cameras out from that selection. I have decided with this line to use some washi tape just to add a little element to the papers. If you don't have any of this type of washi tape, you could just use a stamp, or if you haven't even got that, an old book, cut an old book or apart, and that would actually give you your printed sheet. That always works. I have gone into my stash of flowers, and as you know with my flowers, that when you actually buy your flowers, they're quite often not pulled apart, but because I like my things to be slightly flatter because if I'm using pocket pages, I actually strip all my flowers all apart and just use them as flat ones. I also have invested in the Heartfelt Creations little stamps, and I've actually bought the molding kit that comes with it. I decided I'd bite the bullet because I buy a lot of these little white flowers and it was costing me a fortune, so at least now I can make my own. And it comes in 3 different sizes. It comes in a medium, a large, and here's the medium, and it also has a large one as well, and it has these great leaves which you can just paint up yourself. So I just have an afternoon of making flowers, and I've done all of these all in different colors, but these are just the white ones. So I'll be using the smaller one and the leaves in some. I've also used just some stickles to put some gold in the center of the flowers here. And I will be using a Tim Holtz earth color. It's just a brown ink like that to use around my edges this time. So I'll show you what the papers are. As I said, you have got your 3x4 cutouts, which I use quite a few of these, and I do actually cut some of the graphics out. Now, because these papers are very graphic orientated, Mintay paper are very, very good in actual fact, because they have what I call a lot of spludgy papers, which is really good for your 6x4 cards to actually do your layering with. So they have a blue, they have a wood grain, they also have this, which I use a lot of, and a beautiful pink. Pink and apricot. So what I have done, because I wanted, because I didn't have an ephemeria pack, I actually am using this graphic here where the door is, this graphic up here, and this graphic here, but I wanted some of this paper left over, so I definitely want 2 6x4s. So what I've done on the back here with a pencil, you can see I've marked a 6x4 here and a 6x4 here to cut these out, and then you've got lots of bits left over for layering. And I've done the same with this blue sheet. With this blue sheet, I wanted 2 6x4s, so I've got 2 6x4s down the bottom. This bird's too big, so I'm not particularly worried about that. So I've cut this piece here out, I've cut the bird out, and I've also cut this piece here because I can use this piece here, this piece here. Then I can make, with what's left out of here, I can make 3x4 cards out of the blue spludgy. So that's how, if you've got lots of graphics, work out basically how many 6x4s and sort of work your paper out before you cut, because it makes it more economical. And also too, if you're using a different line of Mintay papers, they tend to follow this format. You could use any of your paper collections and do something very, very similar to what I'm doing here and use different graphics. I chose to use a pale sky blue base card for this, and I also have added a sort of an apricot-y pinky card to use for some of my layering as well. I did use a 2.5 inch strip of this paper here. So once again, I've got my strip here, and I did my 6x4. You could use some of the cutouts with this. You've got an extra camera there that you could use for some of your cutouts. So that actually gives you a quick sneak peek of what I tend to do. Just remember, I normally always try to put in a side-by-side layout, 2 cards on this page on the right hand side and 2 on the left hand side, so that your format actually tends to even itself out and is more pleasing to the eye if you do that. So we will just get on and start making our cards. Once again with this, I'm doing 2 of the same layout, so I can actually show you the finished card and then how I've actually made that card, which I think does help you actually see what I'm doing. So the first thing I have done is this little frame card that I've just tucked behind has come from this sheet here, and what I have done, you can actually see here, this is the picture that was here. I've chopped the top bit off, so that forms the little tuck in. But here's the little bird that I've used here, and you can also use this camera. So you need to cut your bird out and cut your camera and put your camera to one side. But I've already done a bird already, so we don't need to stop filming. So what I do now is I will cut my photo mat and also the card behind. Now with this particular one, I have done my photo mat to be a 4 1/4 by 3 1/4, so you can use a true 3 by 4 photograph to place on the top of the card. So I'll just grab out of my photo stocks here. Yep. So when you put your card in, that's what it will look like. You will actually have the borders going all around. So how I do that is I do a backing card of 4 1/2 and 3 1/2, and because I know I'm going to use more than one of these, I will just cut my card straight up, and I will cut myself 2 of these and put one to one side, like so. Then I will get my white photo mat card, and I will do myself a 4 1/4 strip all the way up. Then I will cut myself 2 3 1/4 pieces, like so. Unfortunately, I have made a boo-boo with this because I've actually used the wrong side of the card. So what I will do with all of these, I will use the smooth edge card. So we have our frame like so. Now I have cut my frame slightly down to actually accommodate my card. So what I will do is I will give myself the edge like so, so that you just have a thin tiny border all the way round. And do the same with this one. You would actually stick this down, but for time reasons, I won't do that. I'll do that off of camera. So there we have, and just pop that to one side. So now we have our 2 bits here. If you do make a mistake, you can normally correct it by just thinking outside the box. So now we need our base card, which has come from this. So with this paper, I will put my label there, and I will just go through and cut 2 6x4s and chop them in at 6. And 6. There we are there. I'll just rub out my rubber marks. So we'll just put that to one side. So here we have all the things that are required. We have a small bird. I cut my flowers because I was running out of flowers in half because I want to tuck it on. So instead of tucking it underneath, we have a medium one of those flowers and one of the blues, and a set of leaves. So they're all the requirements we need for our first left-hand top card. Now I will just go through and I will very lightly, just quickly edge my card here. I will also do my little frame that needs to be done and my little bird. Now with these legs, because they're a little bit too white, I will just pounce a little bit of the brown onto there. This just hides all your little bits of your cutting that you've physically missed. And now I will go through and I will stick everything as is required. Here we have our placement. So now all we need to do is just add a little bit of the gold glitter to our cards like that, and we have a very similar card. This is our bottom left hand card. So what I have done for this card here, I have got my 3x4 blue base. So don't make the mistake I did. You normally chop this off and then use, so that you've got a 12x12 card, particularly if it's textured cardstock. Because I've made a mistake and I'm using the smooth side, I'll keep to that. So we are going to chop what I normally do, because I know I'm going to have a few of these mats, is to chop a full 4-inch cut and then just cut at 6, which will give you 2 mats, and just pop this to one side in your pile. So there we have our card there. I have also used the wood grain paper here. This one here, I've done a 6x4. So what we are going to do is chop off a 2.5-inch strip and just pop that to one side again. And then we are going to do a 4-inch strip and cut our little bit off the bottom and we are going to do a 6x4. Then we are going to chop off 1/4 of an inch off of one side and rotate and chop another 1/4 of an inch off the other side. And what that gives us is that tiny little border all the way around that card. We then have to do a blue piece. So what we are going to do here, I'm going to slide this in so that the label runs downwards, and I am going to put the little harmony piece at the 4-inch mark and cut a 4-inch strip right the way through. And I will cut the other bit off like so. Now this is a little bit smaller than the 6 inches, but as you can see, we do have that slightly smaller. Now the size for this one is 3.5. So what we will do, we will go in and we will chop that at 6. So we have got one blue card like this. Now we are going to do that to 3.5. So I like the white bits, so we are going to do 3.5 by 5.5, and that will give us a border around there. So we've got like 3 sizes there, and that will give us the cuts that we require from this. My photo mat is a true 3x4, so what I'm going to do here, I am going to cut a 3-inch strip, and then I'm going to cut that 3-inch strip into 3x4s. That will give us 3 cards. Now 2 of those put to a side because you'll use them later. So here is our 3x4. Now what I do with this one is I cheat a little bit. Is you can get, it works out easier than trying to cut your sizes. Stick your white photo mat onto the navy blue card. Just leave a tiny small border around the whole card, and then slice the other side to match, like so, and then just go in and line it up. A guillotine cutter is very good for cutting cards, but when you're doing Project Life, you want to do a lot of these little borders, and I prefer one of these slide cutters for that reason. I do use a guillotine occasionally, but I do find a guillotine, you can't get your measurements as close as what I do. So here is that card here that we need. Now for the bird, the rose and this, I have used, see this here, I have got the bird, which I will go and cut out off camera. So we have the bird. We also have this here, which is this bit, and the bird, and here I will use, just cut this bit out. I think I used this one off of the cut apart sheet, so I'll be just replacing it with another rose here, which I just use that piece of rose. So there we have. Now, I also have used clear stickers on my piece up here, and it has gone walkabouts, which is what normally happens when you're on camera, which is very annoying. Now, if you're like me and you do use these clear stickers an awful lot, clear stickers actually work out to be quite expensive. But I have actually found a company that actually makes clear inkjet sticker paper. And this is it here. And it comes in A4 sheets, like so, and it actually is clear. And what you can do an A4 piece on Word or anything else that you use, and you can actually write all your own sentiments and actually run it through your printer, and you will actually get, this is from a sheet that I've just cut apart. So once it's printed, you can actually peel away the back sheet. There we go. And it makes your clear stickers. It's a great way of saving yourself some money from the companies. So if you just go on to Google and you Google clear inkjet sticker paper, they do cost you a little bit, but you can imagine how many sentiments you can actually get on one of these sheets. You can print them up in different colours and everything else, and they will just print normally. The main thing is, I find if you've got a back feeder on your printer, it's because it's very thick like photographic paper, you are better off than trying to put it into the tray where it feeds up and through. So if you've got a back feeder, it works amazingly well. So it's well worth having a look depending on where you are to get this paper. So anyway, I did find a sticker that I had, so I'm just going to take that off and stick it on my card. I will then cut that off like so. I'll line it up so it's sort of like that, and I will edge. So now I'm going to go off of camera and I will cut these out. I will edge them. I will edge my cards and etc. And then I'll put it all together and we'll see the finished product. Now this card is the pink paper. Now what I'm going to do here, as you can tell, I've got these marked for cutting out, and I wanted a 6x4. So I'm going to cut my 6x4 slice straight down and just put that to one side. I also needed my 6x4 slice this way. And I'm going to take this graphics here. So I need to cut, and what I want with that graphic is that leaf here. So all of this bit I can include. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to slice my paper as close to that leaf as I can possibly get, leaving me this piece here that I can use for some of my layering. And what I want is a tiny little piece in here, roughly down about halfway. So I'm just going to cut that strip off like so, giving me like a 3x4 card that I can use. Now, to measure this up, I'm just going to get a pencil and just mark where I need to cut it off so that I've got a tiny little border all the way around. So I'll just chop off a little bit there. Then this is going to sit in here. So I need to just colour my card and put some tape down. This is what you can do with all your little scrap bits. You can actually use them all for your layering. So we are going to pop this up at the top. And as you can see, I've got all my little borders leading in. And the remember needs to go in the top so we know where to put our photo mat. If you don't have a clear sticker, you could just use a stamp or anything, or you could even use a white word in there. So now what we need is just in here to put our little photo mat in. And guess what has just turned up? The clear sticker that I was hunting for. Isn't that always the way? When you're not looking for it, you'll find it. So we just lay our card like so. Then just down the bottom here, we can lay our rose. We can put our little piece up the side with our little bird down the bottom. And that means, as you can see, a 3x4 photograph would fit just on there. So what I tend to do with my 3x4 photographs is, let's see if I've got one that I've got on hand that I have cut. I actually cut my 3x4s down slightly to be just smaller than a 3x4. Let's see, is that a 3x4? Let's see whether this one, here it is here. It is virtually 2 7/8 by 3 7/8. And if you have a look, it will give you that perfect little white border around your photograph to give you what you need. So as you can see, it is, that is a bit, I'll just make sure this photograph is definitely right. That is a definite 3x4 now. You can actually see this photograph is just that tad smaller. I've just chopped a little bit off for people that get their photographs printed off at the photographers. So now what we will do is we will just glue these along the side so that you can still get your photograph underneath. So just put a little bit of glue. You can use your tape, anything that you particularly like to use. Once again, just up on the side and just poke that in like so, and just push it down until it dries for that few seconds. We will then put our little bird in place. Like so. Now I've used this particular bird, but it would have been better to use a bird facing inwards, because that actually draws your eyes. So but now I've stuck that, it's going to stay. But I would have used this bird and put that there so that the bird is facing inwards to draw your eye that way. And there we have our card. Now, I also had a special request from my daughter-in-law that normally when you're taking photographs with your phone, you tend to take more portraits than you do landscapes. So I have changed this up, because normally I have an eye candy card in the left-hand corner. Well, this time I have actually done this card here with the larger portrait photograph, and we used to have the 3x4 photographs. So what I have done, I've changed the 2 3x4s to be the eye candy card, and actually have done an extra portrait so that there is more portrait photo mats than there is landscape. Now, to do this, I have cut that piece out of that card, as you can see there, and I have just snipped it off where the camera was, so that we can make this a separate card, but it looks joined. Now, to do that, I have, the easiest way to do this is to do your normal 6x4 card, and then you need your 3 1/4 by 5 3/4 card. So I'm just going to chop my 6x4 off, and I know that I've used 2 of these cards, so I'm going to chop it at 3 3/4, and I'm just going to do a chop. Then I'm just going to do a 5 3/4, like so, and that will give me that little tiny bit of a border. Now, to make the next border, you would do 3 1/2 by 5 1/2, and that then will give you your little border here. So what we will do is just quickly ink our little edges so we don't get that white showing through. We will attach our cards down. Now, with this one, you are going to need extra tape. I probably should have done my tape that way, because then I wouldn't have had this problem. Okay, so we'll take this off like so. And we will stick with our border down. Then we will stick this one, which of course I've done right because I've done 2 ridges all the way down. So when we cut it, it will stay put like so. Then we will put the whole thing into our cutter and cut that at 3 inches, like so. Now, you don't want to ink these edges because you actually want them to just disappear. So we end up with our 2 3x4 cards. So we'll pop them together. Now we will pop this one down here, and I haven't edged this yet. Now, once again, don't do the edging on there because you want it just to blend in as though it was still one piece. So we will pop this down onto our card like so. So pop that down like so. If you've got any loose bits that are standing up, just pop a bit of the glue on to keep them all down flat. Now our other piece, which I've cut here, needs to be stuck so you get your cards and join them up and then just butt this up like so and just attach it down. And this leaf is a little bit too big, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to snip a tiny bit off so that it sits on the card. Now what I did with this one is I cut flat. It came off the cut apart sheet like this, so I've just cut this top bit off. Here it is here, so I've just cut it off, and I'm going to attach this like so. And I have got my camera here from the cut apart sheet. I'm going to get a bit of foam tape and attach that camera to the card like so. And I was very naughty, I haven't inked the flower. I'll just put that into situ like so. It's a bit too square, so I'm just going to round a few things off there. There we have that. Now the word I used is a clear sticker. The best things in life aren't things. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to tidy up the clear stickers, and I will get a piece of my pink card here, and I will actually just unattach the back sheet. like so. This is one that I've actually printed up myself. Take this one off. Okay, so then I will just cut this off and make a nice strip, like so. And as you can see, this will be here. I will attach these like so. So there we have our two 3x4s, but it does look like it's a 6x4 card, so that you can actually fit the extra large photograph next to it, like so. So that is something that really does work, and it just means that you do have a better photograph opportunity on your page. Now we'll just go on to the other two 3x4 cards. One is an ordinary photo mat, which of course is your 3x4. So one of the strips that you cut, your 4-inch strip of your pink, you need to cut a 3x4 mat. So there we have our 3x4. Then you make a 3x4 photo mat, and from that just cut off 1/8 of an inch on one side of each of the card, so that when you pop it down you just have a small border round your card, and then just tape that down. The next card is from this spludgy paper, so we are going to just cut the tab off, and we are going to cut a 3x4 to give you your 3x4 card. Then we are going to cut a 3 1/8, 3 7/8, by 2 7/8. And that, when you turn it over, will give you the blue card that sits underneath with just the tiny border. We then get some of our blue cardstock, whereupon we want to cut from where I'm cutting my 6x4s. So we will cut these down because I know that I need these 2 mats on the other side. So we do 2 6x4s and put these to one side. Another 6x4. We need 1 3x4. And the last 3x4 that's left, we need to chop off 1/4 inch off of one side, 1/4 inch off the other. And that will give us small blue border. Now I want a little bit more border than that, so I'm going to go in again and just cut off just a tiny bit extra on both sides, the same width, which will give me a little bit extra border. I then have gone to the pink splodgy card here of the bits that we have left, and I'm going to cut a 4 Now I'm going to the pink card here. I'm just going to measure, just going to cut a 6x4 because that's a, and then this bit of card here, I'm going to chop roughly 1 1/4 off by 3 inches, and that will give you a decent sized strip to use. The rose, I have used one of these roses here, which I have fussy cut out. So just go to one that's closest, and we will fussy cut that out. It doesn't matter that it's running a different way. We can actually use it this way. It doesn't really matter which way it goes, just as long as you've got something there. And I have used a different card here, so we're going to put that down. Now I've also used some of this splodgy card, and the measurement for that is 3.5 by 2.5. So we'll cut our 2.5 inch card out here. Then we'll go to our 3.5 measurement, which is here. And this is where these cutters are great, because you can actually put your cutter in and just cut. These slithers off, and that will give you, so we need to chop off a little bit off of one side to make those borders even. I'm just going to take a skerrick off there so that we have a nice border. So then we have our pink card here, the cut rows, which I am going to cut the other rows off. Like so. There we have that. And we have our sentiment card, which I don't really like the colour of. So I do have some other sentiment cards here, which I'm just going to play with. I prefer this one. And then we will just pop our rows over the top. Now with this, I'm going to edge it and then lay it flat, and I'm just going to gently rub some of the ink onto this to give it an old world look and just tone that down from that really bright white. So I will go ahead and stick these down and show you the finished card once I've stuck them down. So here we go with layering our cards. So we just quickly take our tape off of this one and layer it on. So we've got our little border there. I've inked all my pieces of paper. So there we have our 3x4, and then the next one down with just a 1/8 of an inch border all the way around. So you've just got that tiny little bit of colour. Like so. Then we have our next one, which is our 3 3/4 by 2 3/4. And if you remember rightly, I took that slither off to make that border a little bit bigger. Then we go for our next layer of our spludgy white paper, which I've edged. I then will put the date here, and I might just move this across slightly. There we go. Put that on the top. So we are going to put this slightly across so that we've got our borders working again. Now to do that, just move one of your tapes and place this down so it's straight. Then you can go underneath and remove the other one, and that way you don't lose your placing. And we're going to place this one just down in the bottom corner, getting your borders matching, and then we will stick the blue rose on the top like so. There we have our 2 3x4 cards complete. This is a 6x4 card, which we've already cut a 6x4 from our smudgy paper. This piece here, if you have a look at the floral sheet, you do have these flowers, and there was one, see there's one sort of here, but there was one just here which I could actually cut this out from, so I've already done that. And then this is a sheet we took the 2 of the blue, that we took the 2 6x4s out. Now this is where you need to cut this piece here out for the bottom. We also have cut a photo mat, which is 3 1/4 by 4 1/4. I then got my pink card that was left, and I am just going to stick this down onto the pink card, because I find this is the easiest way to get a tiny coloured border around things. Stick this down so you get the 2 sides where you want it, and then cut the corresponding like so. So then you have your little border that goes around. Now you need to edge your card and just stick that down, cut this out, and stick this one down. So I have just got some tape here. So we just take that off, and we need this one to be just popped up the top there with even borders all the way around. And then what we do is we layer these down. Now if you've noticed, I've just put the tape on the edge of these so that when they stick down, you can still get your photograph in. And I've swiveled these up a little bit. Now I also cut a little bit of a blue leaf to just pop under that flower, which came off of this sheet here. You just cut a blue leaf off. Just to finish this piece off. Then we need to just cut, once again this is just down the bottom and just to one side. And I've inked all of these as well, and we're going to pop that down here and just attach that in. And then if you've got any bits sitting over your card from the back, just trim them off like that. And there we have that card, and see, it looks really, really nice, but it's a very easy card to actually complete. This card here, we've got one of our 6x4s that we previously cut in the blue. This is the pink, which is another 6x4 that we cut previously. Now I'm just going to take off a 1/8 of an inch on both sides. So that we have that tiny border all the way around. We are going to ink the edges of our cards as well. Now before we put this card down, I want to get our washi tape and just pop that on the card like so. I don't want any hard writing to actually show up on this. Let's tear it off and fold it under. Like so. Then we can do our tape. Which of course I should have taped after I did my washi tape. But never mind, just whack some more on there. Okay, so there we have our card with our washi tape popped on. So we just pop that onto our card. Now this is one of the 3x4 from the sheet. I wanted this because of the blue, and it meant that I didn't have to cut into my splodgy blue sheet. Now what I want to do here is just put the corner into the corner and lift it up so it's got a bit at the top, because what we are going to do is put this down the bottom like so, and then do our layering up the side. So we will attach this down, just slant it slightly off center, which I don't often do. Then we put our blue card down the bottom. I did get a little tab that we can use, which I'm going to glue down. You don't need to put this here, but I just thought there was an empty spot there. And I'll just put one of the clear word stickers on there. I have got a camera, which I will put just up in the top hand corner here. Then I'll start layering my flowers. So then I'll put the blue down the bottom with enough room to put a leaf underneath. I will then put my pink. And this, I had a spare one, was this piece here that I've cut off and cut it out. So just slide that down so it doesn't interfere with the camera. Across. Then we put our white little flower just to one side. Now we can put our leaves in. Press everything down. There we go. And then we just need our glitter. To give us our centre of our flowers. And there we have another card completed. So I will bring down the cards so that you can actually physically see the whole layout done. Here's our eye candy card that we had split in half. And you will see it does actually give a very nice effect. And it does give you extra portraits to actually put your photographs in. So there we have completed one full side of our layout. Now we're going to start on our left hand side of our layout, and this is the top left hand corner eye candy card. Now what I have done here, I've got the 3x4 card off of the 3x4 sheet set. I've just cut it down and then I laid it onto the blue cardstock and just cut the slight edge and have stuck it down. We have already cut the 6x4 card which was in your pile, so all you need to do there is just quickly edge the card. Now from the strip that we cut, that was the 2.5 inch strip, I've cut a 6 inch, making sure I've got some wood grain, and I have edged that, and that is going to go straight into the middle of the page. So how we do this is we just lay this down onto the pink sheet in the middle. And then I want to show a little bit of the card here and the card here. So we will just off center this slightly so it's not centered. I got one of the flags from the cutout sheet and I am going to cut this . Sorry, just get my scissors. I'm just going to cut that down just a fraction so that it sits above the paper there. So we will glue this down. So I cut an extra flower out that was the same size as the flower here so that I can just stick it down the bottom at a different angle. Like so. I chose the word "this moment" and I'm going to pop that on here. Just make it slightly smaller. I cut some of the leaves from that sheet with all the flowers and everything on, just to give me, and I'm going to pop that down here. Then I will start layering my flowers down. Like so. And then just put my glitter on. When I store these glitters, I always normally store them so at this angle, so that the this is always got the air out. Unfortunately, last night I left it sitting upwards, which makes it all run back down to the bottom. And there we have this card finished. For this next one, you need a 6x4, and you also have your 2 white cards here, which you need to cut, which are 4x6s. So we will just cut them down to size and put one to one side. Now you need to edge this. Now with this one, we need to cut off 1/4 inch on 2 sides. To give you that border. So just edge that off. And stick that down. I have a 3x4 photo mat here, which I have just cut a card, which I eyeballed with just that border. So just stick it down onto your blue card and cut, or if you want, it is 4.5 by 3.5. And then that gets stuck down. Onto your card like so. Now remember I said when we were cutting this card here, unfortunately I used it when, so I've just swapped my card over, so it's this one that you use for this card here, and this one you need to cut this one plus cut the bird. You need the whole thing plus the bird, and you need this one here. And when you're cutting this one, just leave your square there, because we are going to just pop that up into the corner like so. So then you can attach that to the card. And there we have another card. Finished. We will do our 3x4 cards next. So we have got our 2 photo frame pieces. So what I've got here is one of the 6x4s that you put to one side. So cut that into half. So you have your 2 3x4s. You also have 2 of your photo mats, which is your 3x4. So what you need to do there is chop off 1/8 of an inch off of both of those, so that you get just your tiny border round. And with your pink from your spare cardstock, cut a 3x4. And there you have your other frame. Now with this one was one of the 3x4 cards, and I've used the frame at the back, and I have just cut off a little bit all the way round, so the spare 3x4 card, it will fit. And then this goes onto here once you have edged your card, like so. And then what I did was I cut from the sheet here, this one here. So we just need to trim that off with this one here, and the bird needs to be trimmed. With this card here, once again, they are the 3x4s. I have trimmed this down so that you've got your blue frame, and then I just cut from here this piece here. So I will cut my pieces out and we'll do the cards. Okay, so I've cut this piece out here. So I've cut your 3x4 with this, and this card here needs a little bit trimmed off all the way around so it's even, like so. So just cut a smidgen off. And that will give you the border that's required. So just and this piece here I've put onto foam tape. Just stick it on top of the other one, and I took the bird from the piece of card that we left when we used that border frame, and he is just going to be stuck on the card. Like so. This one here, we just need to attach this to our 3x4. Like so. The piece that I cut out is just going to be stuck down. And I've edged that in brown. This one I'm going to put onto foam tape. So there we have our 3x4s finished. Now for our second to last card, you need 2 3x4 white mats, and just put one of those aside. You also need your 6x4 in your white spludgy paper, and this one here is left from the scraps, 2 3/4 by 3 3/4. Now your white photo mat, you need to just get some of scraps of your blue card that is left, and just once again stick it down. And get your border, and then just cut your border down, which I will do. This is the bird that I cut from the last sheet that I was cutting out, because I needed a bird here. Now we need to cut out, it's on the blue spludgy, is this piece here. So I will cut that out and get it ready to go. Sorry about that, I actually said to put a blue card around your photo mat, but I was actually wrong. It is this piece of spludgy, which was the 2 3/4. So once again, just eyeball that and give that a really small border all the way around, because I need that to just fit in with a very, very tiny border here. So we're going to attach this card down. I have edged this cardstock here with my brown. And that will fit. Now I'm doing this so I've got more portrait, because normally you would put your photo mat this way, but I have decided I wanted, so I'm going to cut from that photo mat like I do with my 3x4 cards. Just cut off a smidgen on 2 sides, so that you just have a tiny border all the way around. I just need a little bit more off. There we go, that's perfect. So just keep taking off a little bit until you do actually get a border around that card, and that will give you your portrait photograph. Now with this one, it's a really simple card to do. You just need to put down this piece here. So we will attach that down. I have inked it ready to go. So we just lay that down. The bird just gets put tucked in wherever he looks good. And if his tail's a bit long, just snip him off. And then I am going to just lay my flowers like I've done before. I did have a pink flower around here somewhere. It was on the floor. So we're just going to lift that up and pop the apricot one underneath. I've got my leaves again. And then we just put our glitter like so, and there we have, and that way we have got another upright photograph. Now we're going to start our last card, which has your 6x4 in your pink, it also has this here, which you need a 5 3/4, 3 3/4, like so, so that you have actually got your border. Then you should, in your scraps, have some of this left, just a tiny bit. So as you can tell, that is quite a good border. So I'm just going to take off roughly about 2.5 inches, and I'm going to edge that. I'm going to get the washi tape now. We just need to edge the blue, and we'll pop him down. And remember the card that we cut for the mat, I've just put it on the pink and cut my edges off. This one here, we need to just drop that on to the blue. Then we put our photo mat on. And I seem to have lost my tape. Oh, I'll just use this wide one, that'll be fine. You just attach this so that you've got your nice borders. I've cut a rose, which I'm going to pop down in the bottom. And I've edged that. I chose different words. I've got amazing, so I'm just going to cut that a little bit smaller. And then pop my bird flag, which came from the cutout sheet, on the card. And there we have a very simple and easy card completed. Thanks everyone for watching my video. please don't forget to subscribe and leave a comment and like on my channel if you enjoyed watching this process. And here is the finished item with all the photographs put into place with all the journaling. So till next time, thank you. Bye.